Kind of got there yet. Okay, do you see the new broadcast there, Corey?
Hang on, what's going on here? Oh, I got the Zoom setup is a little different. Yes, I see it.
Okay. Well, welcome to Quantum Leap. We're back for our 11 a.m. segment, and we have a special guest today, Robin Patin, who Corey and I have known for several years, and she's really a great financial planner and YouTuber, actually, and really an expert on kind of what I like to call now financial freedom. That's a bit of a buzzword I got from Tony Robbins, but we're actually going to include a section, and Corey may not have known this unless he looked ahead, but in our book, Solopreneur for Business Owners on, financial freedom, what we're calling. So we'd love to feature you there, Robin, and looking forward to talking to you. But I just wanted to let Corey introduce himself, and if you don't mind giving telling us how you know Robin, or you're welcome to give a testimonial as well.
Sure. I am Cory Knott. I am co-owner of Takeaway Coaching. I do collaboration coaching, which in my case, I focus primarily on business partners, people trying to run a business together, which can come in a lot of different forms. And I have known Robin since, well, she joined our BNI chapter. I don't remember the actual year. It's hard to, since everything's sunk since COVID, right? Yes.
Yeah, it's been about 6 or 7 years.
How long?
6 or 7 years.
6 or 7 years? Okay, so
Yeah.
you came in just like maybe 2018.
But I knew you before that too.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. And yeah, we've both been, around the Oakland area for a while. And she's one of the most professional financial advisors I know, and an all-around wonderful person. And I know she has a lot of interesting interests, and I hope she'll share some of those today.
Yeah, we are going to put the link to her YouTube channel, but Robin, if you don't mind introducing yourself and telling us your story, and also a little bit about your YouTube channel, which I think is really an excellent example of, really a channel and all the growth that you've had with it.
Sure. So I'm Robin. I'm a certified financial planner, certified private wealth advisor. I'm also a wealth manager. And on YouTube, I'm your rich auntie. I entered this field probably about 8 years ago, and I love this work as a financial advisor, wealth manager. I genuinely like the people that I serve and the work that I do. It's one of the hardest jobs I've ever had because I deal with people and their emotions and their money all day, every day. But I genuinely like the clients that I serve and want to give them my absolute best. So yeah, you can look me up on YouTube under Your Rich Auntie. I'm the only one on YouTube, and I often talk about financial information, and I talk a lot about retirement on my channel.
Okay, great. And yeah, I actually was going to open with a question on retirement. And you may have some additional thoughts on this. I'm still kind of getting my head around some of the key topics in financial management about how much do people really need to save for retirement? Say you're, in your 30s or maybe 40s, but how much does that vary? And what I'm looking at here is, it really varies depending on when you start saving. And but if it's not quite as much as people might think if you do it the right way, from what I gathered looking at your channel. Yeah.
And my own personal story, I didn't start saving for retirement until I became a financial advisor. So I was 36 when I started saving in earnest for my retirement. So, don't feel like you can't start saving in your 30s and still achieve your goal. The average 401k or retirement account in the US has $272,000 in it. Now, there's a host of reasons why baby boomers and people who are retiring may be able to live off of 272,000. Corey and I were just talking about pensions. Baby boomers have access to a lot of pension. About half of baby boomers have access to pensions. But we all know that pensions are going away, especially for Gen Xers and millennials and Gen Zers. So the cohorts after the baby boomers are going to have to save a lot more for retirement. It
Mhm.
also depends on when and how you retire. Retirement is transforming itself. You know, it used to be everyone retired 65 is the golden age. They retired, they lived maybe 10 years, 15 years if they were lucky, and they died. Now people are living 30 years into retirement. And unless you have millions of dollars tucked away, there is no way that the average American can live 30 years without working and have a successful life. So there's some key factors of longevity, family dynamics. A lot of baby boomers are married, but a lot of Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Zers are not. That's going to change retirement a lot because you lose the power of two and you do solo financial planning for those groups. You have to save a lot more money as an individual. If I were looking back at someone in their mid 30s who is just starting to save for retirement, I would say save as much as you can. Okay, means put the pedal to the metal. Reason being, you want to do it while you're young, because if you do it earlier in your life, you get the benefit of compounding interest, right? Saving a lot of money when you're 35 is a lot more effective than starting to save when you're 65, because you just have a 30-year period of time to get that compounding interest going for you. So I've never had someone sit in my chair for the most part and say, you know, Robin, you told me as a financial advisor, I saved too much money for retirement. It's always the exact opposite. I didn't save enough money. And it's usually a function of the person didn't start early enough or didn't put away enough.
Yeah, I think you also get better at it too, and then you get this other class of people that start saving money so they can retire early, maybe in their 50s or whatever. So if you start saving a lot early, then you can always do other things with that money. So it's really like I see it as kind of the habits, if you get those good habits earlier on and, you start saving all for retirement, pretty soon you see you don't have to use all that for your retirement necessarily if you get going on it. Yeah.
And that is true. I've seen a few cases that turned out that way. It's typically someone who started saving for retirement very young, like immediately out of college. They're nearly 50 and they have either a million or sometimes millions saved for retirement. And if the person is single, doesn't have any kids, it's probably going to become a taxation issue later on in life, and they're probably not going to be able to spend through all of that money. You know, those are the people I could say, okay, you know, you're 50 years old, you have 2.5 million saved for retirement. You're not going to retire until you're 67, so it's going to continue getting compounding interest. If you want to save just to the match, so you get that match from your company and then stop and then use that money for other things. Sometimes people put it in a brokerage account and just save for the future in a brokerage account. Sometimes people decide they want to travel or do other things in their 50s while they're relatively young and can do some of these more active trips. That's when you have options. That's when you have options. But if you wait until your mid 30s, to save 2 million by time you're 50 is usually out of the question, right? You have fewer options to kind of take your foot off the gas while you're relatively young. So you're either going to save when you're very young or you're going to save when you're older, but you're going at some point you're going to have to do this.
Great. And what are some common mistakes that you see out there with regard to managing money and investment?
Recently, since COVID, cars. I've seen cars take more people under than you would think. And it's because the average price of a new car is like what, just over 40,000 now. Um, and the average price of a used car is still pretty up there. I think it's like almost 30,000. And people get into these incredible car notes that basically absorb every single dollar that they have. I've seen car payments, you know, 1,200, 1,500, $1,800 a month. And some people are just car people and, you know, they have to drive the latest, greatest. But I would say get a reliable car and keep it forever.
Yeah,
Don't let a car take you under.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
yeah,
can last really years and years, even 10 years for one decision, taking all your money for 10 years, if,
Yeah,
especially in the earlier part of your careers, can be
and
disastrous.
the interest
definitely.
rates
I
can be
mean,
kind of
I've
crazy. Yeah.
seen basically cars people bought in their early 20s. basically financially cripple them until their 30s. A lot of negative equity, a lot of rollovers, a lot of bad decisions, a lot of, and the person finally decides to get their financial house in order and they realize they've wasted a decade on just bad car purchases.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one more question, then I was going to turn it over to Corey. Um, wh what is the difference between looking rich and actually being rich? What would you say? I think this is a. I'll just see what you have to say here, and I have a few thoughts on what I was getting at. But
Sure. So, with looking rich, I'm gonna narrow it down to like designer clothing, just to because it's a very broad category of how people could look rich. Um, a lot of people are drawn in by the marketing and the cachet of owning a Louis Vuitton or a Birkin bag or this or that. And what research has shown is that the people who often buy, quote, luxury goods are the poor and the middle class. The wealthy really don't buy luxury goods. And if you're very wealthy and very well connected, you'll be gifted many of these goods because, these companies want wealthy people and celebrities and musicians, people who are visibly visible to the public eye, to walk around wearing their goods because it's good advertisement for them, right? So a lot of like I have very wealthy clients and I have some people who are in the public eye. They don't buy the stuff, they get it gifted to them or they get it lent to them and they wear it for an event or they wear it, out in public and then they return it or, it goes in the back of the closet, never to be worn again. A lot of people fall into this image of wealth, trying to chase after what they see celebrities, very wealthy, or social media people doing. And especially for young people, it's one of the most difficult traps to get yourself out of because you can spend a mid six-figure amount on different brands. And then at the end of 10 years, you have nothing to show for it, except, out-of-date clothing sitting in the back of a closet that pretty much has lost its value and can only go to a consignment shop or to donation. Um, People who are wealthy, and there are wealthy people who like designer goods, but they're much more discerning about what they buy and how they buy it, right? A lot of these design houses, they have what they give to like the middle class and the poor and the public, and then they have, the vault, that the good stuff that they hold for the very wealthy and for the celebrities to that is really high quality. So a lot of times the very wealthy people are very discerning about what they buy. I have many very wealthy clients who do not buy designer. They just don't find it to be a good use of their money. Or when they do buy it, they're very discerning about what they buy and they're much more concerned about the quality and the longevity of the garment than I would say the average person is.
yeah, I've been doing some research on this, and it does seem like generally there's a lot of wealthy people out there who you wouldn't even know that they're wealthy by how they dress, because if you're worth like millions of dollars, you're kind of calling attention to yourself, especially online. You see if you're sharing, designer bags or something, you can get robbed. There's a lot of
Yeah.
robberies that take place there, or you're the target for more scams too. So I think there's a big it makes a lot of sense to not show wealth too. And then maybe it's like buying like less outfits, like if you took, maybe they only need two of those quality outfits. And, because if you took all that money and invested it instead, that would be your whole retirement savings, especially with the compounding effect. So
Mhm.
I just feel like if you look at most cases, a lot of the people out there who look rich, with all this stuff, they're actually the ones who are the poorest. So it's a little bit of a reverse. Um,
I would say 90% of the time that's true. 90%. And a lot of time when wealthy people are wearing designer, you don't even know because there's not a label on it. It's not publicly broadcasted in any way. I have clients who have very expensive like vicuña sweat, and those sweaters are like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 each. They've had the sweater for like 8 years. They treat it like gold. They love it. They wear it constantly. And given what they paid for it versus the wear they've gotten out of it, it's been a good value for them. but it's not designer, it's not labeled, it's not anything. It's just a very high quality, well-made sweater.
Yeah, kind of goes back to the cars thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I'll turn it over to Corey if he has any debriefing on that stuff or any wild card questions too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do this money archetypes with my clients because when you have two people working together, they will have different money styles. And when I learned this, I learned some great things about myself and about other people. And um, what we often see is, parents have a certain style around money, and if their child is very much the opposite of them, that's sort of like becomes a problem of shame and regret, which is unfortunate because it's more of our wiring, our emotional
Right.
wiring versus something wrong. And but there are some people who are like accumulators. My uncle was that way. He never really had any real jobs in his life. He was a gardener, he was a waiter and all that, but he just socked away money. He'd buy property, he'd 1031 exchange it, buy more property, and then unfortunately he was very cash poor. He didn't really plan that very well. Well, he got robbed pretty hard. He didn't manage the money well. Um, and so got taken when he got sick, which is another thing, is a good reason to have a financial advisor, is because they can protect your investments from people who will take your checkbook and drain your accounts. um but he still had his property. And so I think it's everybody's a little bit different in that regard. And so how do you deal with that, Robin? It's sort of a
Sure. So, of course, everyone has different values around money. And even my clients, sometimes my clients do things that I personally don't agree with.
right,
And I have to do my best to set my values aside and
right.
help them on their financial journey. Sometimes it's very difficult because I really don't agree with what they're they're doing. But I'm probably one of those people that's an accumulator. I've always found it very easy to save,
Right,
right? And once I learned how to invest when I became a financial advisor, then it took off from there because I already knew how to save. I already knew how to acquire and accumulate. And then learning the magic of how to invest just turbocharged that,
right.
right? And so you're right. Some people are natural savers, accumulators, and investors, and will just naturally go along with that. Most people, I would say, aren't.
Right,
Some people are natural spenders. Um, some people are just natural worriers. They just kind of hunker down and they don't make any decisions because they're just so worried. And you have to take people where they are, which can be difficult, and not assign your own values to each interaction you have with a person. I will tell people my personal opinion because all my clients know me personally at this point. And, I recently had a situation with a client that wanted to buy a car I didn't necessarily agree with because the car doesn't have good reliability. And I'm all about reliability with a car
Mhm.
because I will keep a car 20 years. And we had a great interaction where we talked about what was important to him in a car and why this was important. And I got to understand and respect his perspective on the situation. So it is understanding the client, understanding their history with money, because it really does come out in adult life, what
Yeah,
their parents thought, what they had growing up or what they didn't have, and also what their partner thinks
right.
about money, because it is,
Yeah,
especially in some relationships, one partner ends up getting drowned out
right.
by the other partner. And you have to, I always make it a point to ask the other partner, what do they think or what do they feel?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think in the money archetypes is trying to show people how to either let go or save more,
Mhm.
and but feed it to their values. Um, it's, we were going to get to your why, but I think well, if you'd like to share your why, that would be great. But I think we've heard quite a bit here.
Mhm.
Um, and then yeah, but yeah, what is your why? We like that.
Why I became a financial advisor or why?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah. What really drives your passion in this?
Sure. So, I became a financial advisor when I was 36, and I had a variety of career paths. My training background is actually in healthcare, so I was a healthcare consultant for many years. And after many career iterations, I became a financial advisor, and this is my forever career. I don't intend to ever leave financial advising because I love this field. I came into it, I initially wanted to go into this field when I was 21 out of college because my initial degree was in finance. Um, it's a very difficult field to enter when you are young. It's something that you have to come into later after you've developed a healthy respect for money, after you've made your mistakes, after you've worked your jobs, because you have to have a healthy respect for other people's money and other people's values around money.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm very happy that I came into this field at 36 versus becoming a financial advisor at 21 or at 26, because I needed to go through those experiences to develop that healthy respect. Why do I do this work? I do it because I genuinely like the people that I serve. Um, I do the YouTube channel because I see there is like a gap in knowledge. And I tend to take a bit of a different tack than many other financial advisors that have YouTube channels. I tend to explain things in greater detail
Mhm.
than many or more than some people want to know. But I think you want to inform people, you want people to see the good and bad of all decisions. So a lot of people like my YouTube channel because I kind of get into the weeds that a lot of the financial advisors won't get into because they assume it's just too much for the client or people really don't want to know all of that information.
So tell us a little bit about what's been great about your YouTube channel.
It gives me a creative outlet. I love my work as a financial advisor, wealth manager. A lot of my job is sitting behind a desk in a computer or on the phone with an accountant or a state attorney. And it can get dry.
Mhm.
It can get dry. When I'm on my YouTube channel, I'm actually sharing my experience and I'm actually facing a client or an imaginary client. And I draw a lot of the DIY crowd who are trying to do it themselves. And they're a great crowd to have because they ask very insightful questions and are really interested in the knowledge and information. So I'm very thankful for my YouTube channel just because it gives me a creative outlet.
Yeah, I've got to get started on one myself. I think it's a great tool, and surprisingly, apparently, just having short videos really attracts an audience.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, how did you get over your fear of doing videos?
I wanted to do videos for years, and I always had an excuse how or why I couldn't do it. When I started doing it, I started January 1st, 2024.
Mhm.
I am terrible on camera. I have no charisma on camera. And
Oh,
you
that's not
think
true.
that you could just put up a camera and you just start talking and it'll all work itself out. It's
Right.
much harder. Like you have a new YouTube channel, Cory. You understand how it can be difficult to develop that presence.
Hmm.
I decided to stick with it for a year, come what may.
Hmm.
And it took me probably 6 months to get comfortable in front of a camera. Then I actually upgraded my camera and upgraded my microphone. I learned that microphones are very important because people will tolerate bad video, but they won't tolerate bad audio.
Yeah.
And, I've been growing from there. My channel is not perfect. It's not exactly where I want it to be, but the most important thing is just getting started is what I learned. And I probably should have gotten started years ago, but
So
I
real,
just held
that,
myself
right?
back.
It's always
Yeah.
about planting the tree and when to
Yeah.
plant, now or 20 years ago. Um, yeah, good point. And that's good to share. I think they'll, I mean, that's David's specialty, and we don't talk enough about the value of video for marketing. So who are you looking to connect with at this point?
I am looking to connect with, honestly, I'm looking to connect with a YouTube audience. I work with clients, but a lot of my work is referral only now. So I'm limited in the number of new clients I could take on, but I'm looking for people who want to learn the mechanics of financial planning and who
Okay,
want the detailed explanation. Check out my YouTube channel because that's what I specialize in.
great.
Yeah, well, we're going to link to it, and I'd love to do some more collaborative things around your channel and maybe this show or whatever. So we'll kind of debrief on that, and we will get you that recording, and we'd
Okay.
love to have you back again, maybe in the fall, because the financial freedom and what you're talking about is going to be a new theme for the show, and you're the first guest we've actually had in this area. But I look forward to studying it more and really making it a big part of this show going forward. So
Sure, I'd be happy to come back.
great. Well, folks, thanks for listening, and Robin, thanks for coming on, and Cory, great work as usual, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.